Fall Anime 2022, probably one of the best seasons of anime. Mob Psycho Season 3, JoJo Part 6. We're also talking about a lot of great shows that came out. Eminence in Shadow, Uncle in Another World. We're talking about Beast Tamer as well, which I thought was going to be mid, but turned out to be really good. So let's get right into it. I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. Now, I am a big fan of this new boom in this Villainous subgenre. I mean, one of my favorite shows and one of my favorite female characters is literally Katarina Klaas, which is from another Villainous anime that came out a few years ago. And so when I heard the news that there's another Villainous show coming out, and it's all about sort of revenge against people who wronged her, I was more than excited. And let me just say, I wasn't disappointed. I was actually impressed by its presentation, I should say, because what it does is it takes the 12 episode format and concludes the entire story, which within itself is amazing. But what it also does is it breaks up the story into sort of 3 acts. So the first act takes place in a certain location with certain characters over the course of 4 episodes. The second act takes place in another location with a certain group of characters for its second act, and then the third act is again 4 episodes with a new group of characters, but with also all the old characters returning to make an ensemble. I thought this was inventive. It was great. The only thing I have against this show really is near the third act, which is the last 4 episodes. It kind of drops in quality just a little bit for my taste, just in terms of oh shoot, my light went out. That's an omen. That's a bad sign because I dissed the show. No, but in terms of like the end, like what it set off to, it's like My Hero, right? Like I was saying, what I was saying with My Hero Academia, because it starts off really good with season 1 and 2 with My Hero Academia, and then just kind of goes downhill, and then has this war arc that they're currently in that's not as great as the first 2, but it's still really good. That's how I feel about like kind of the third arc for this show, at least. It's the first 2 are so good. The fact that the third one comes out and it's like it's okay in comparison, just really kind of annoys me, just because it's like, oh, you were so close to making this such a great show. But I still recommend this. It's still high up on my list for a reason. I just think the characters are great. It's just a wholesome story, and I think you should definitely check it out. Welcome to the Demon School Iruma-kun Season 3. Now, if you want to talk about wholesome shows, I talked about it in the last show I just talked about, but this show in particular has been one of my favorites and really been the dark horse of a lot of, like, I guess, shonen, if you can call it, more drama-heavy high school type anime. And a lot of people aren't talking about it, which I'm actually really saddened by, because this is a really good show. The production is there, the animation's there, the characters are amazing. I mean, the main guy is voiced by the guy who does Deku in My Hero Academia. So let's just talk about like star power. I love every single one of the characters, and the world, the story, having one of the best grandpas in all of anime in this show, with this dark undertone, which is the demon school, which is in the demon world, I mind you. It really goes to show like the power of just great writing, great character writing, just a great setting, great animation, like how far it can take you. And season 3 by far is the best season of this show. That's why it's so high up on my list. Every time I turn it on, whenever I'm feeling down, it just changes my mood instantly. Like, not many shows can do that. This show instantly does it. And every time I turn on an episode, I know I'm not going to be disappointed, and I actually leave more impressed than when I entered. So definitely check this out. It's one of probably my favorites this season. Beast Tamer. You want to talk about pleasant surprises? This show, I thought it was going to be average. I thought it was going to be middle of the road, mid, if you say. And it turned out to be one of the biggest surprises I have had this season, because it takes the concept of sort of the fantasy world. It's not an isekai, it's a fantasy world. And it's this guy working for this party as a beast tamer, and then he gets kicked out. And don't worry, this isn't spoilers, this happens within like the first minute of the show. He gets kicked out of this party, and from there he has to learn to kind of take his skills and build himself up without the party. And he actually becomes an adventurer, because originally he was part of the heroes party, and he becomes an adventurer to kind of go on his own route and do some good with sort of the skills that he has. And it's just a wholesome show. It deals with people who aren't supportive of you, that are fake, that pretend, which really cuts deep, because you see that a lot more later in life as you get older, where you'll meet people who will be more fake to you, be more like smile and say things just to make you happy, and not really try and be there for you as like a true friend. And this show really highlights that in terms of pretending to be your friend just for the sake of their own self-interest. And I think the show does a really good job of showing like how to overcome that, how to deal with that kind of mental trauma. But yeah, I highly recommend this show. It's probably one of my favorites just because it came out of left field and I wasn't expecting much, and it exceeded my expectations, beating all these shows I just talked about. And also the opening is pretty amazing, and with the exception of, I would say, one episode, there's practically no fan service, which thank goodness, because we need more shows like this, because even My Hero at times can have a lot of fan service. But yeah, that's just my review of this one, so definitely check it out if you need a show that you want to just check it out. Alright, now we're on to the most anticipated show for this season, Chainsaw Man. Again, it's an 8 out of 10, and I just realized I forgot to do Beast Tamer, which was also an 8 out of 10. But yeah, here's the thing. Chainsaw Man is the most excited I have been for a show in a while, just because I read the manga. I even have a statue, if you can see in the back, of Chainsaw Man, which just goes to show my love for the show. Now, the anime, I've heard there's some controversy regarding redoing the entire anime, just because people didn't feel like it was animated right or properly, and I must say, you are crazy. What are you doing? If we want to talk about shows that deserve to be redone, we literally have The Promised Neverland, and Tokyo Ghoul is right there. I don't know what you're talking about. Tokyo Ghoul needs to be redone, not Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man got the great treatment it deserved, and we're talking literally from its opening to literally the final fight with the Katana Devil. What are you talking about? Don't redo this anime. This anime is so great action, great characters, the source material was done so much justice. The anime, like, let's just say Mappa went above and beyond with this. They really wanted to make this a special show. They put their blood, sweat, tears in it, and they really delivered with this. So if you haven't seen the show already, please check it out. Don't listen to the people who are like, oh, it wasn't the greatest adaptation, they should redo the animation. No, it is a really good show. Please watch this, and I'm so excited for season 2 because they hinted at that. And yeah, 8 out of 10. It is probably one of the best shows this season, in my opinion. Lookism. Okay, so this show is adapted from a Korean manhwa, which is why it might look a little bit different from your standard anime, which is, if you don't know what manhwa is, it's a Korean sort of manga. That's the best way I can describe it, but they call it manhwa, or webtoon, I guess. But this show is basically derived off a very popular webtoon called Lookism. And the reason why I put this so high up on my list, even beating Chainsaw Man, for heaven's sake, is just because I just love the story. It's a beautiful story talking about how someone who isn't the best looking gets a chance to look different, be seen in a different light, but really maintain the same character. And he lives in, without getting into spoilers, he sort of has this there's sort of this magical element to the show that really helps showcase his two lives and how they both intertwine. And at the end of the day, what like really sells him as a great person isn't sort of the looks, it's his character and the people that he has an impact on, and it helps upbring. And so it's a very wholesome show, it's a very uplifting show, and it has, I mean, the ATEEZ does the opening, which is a famous K-pop group, which is one of my favorites. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Also has martial arts, great action, great drama. And so if you want a really good show, you want to sit back and watch, I binged it through in a day. I think it's 10 episodes. But Lookism, or maybe 12, I don't know, but Definitely check this out if you are interested. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I think it deserves it. Romantic Killer. Alright, another great show. We're just talking just so many great things, and both of these shows, Lookism and Romantic Killer, are on Netflix, which is great. I just love the fact that Netflix is introducing more of a library of great anime content on its platform. I'm a big fan when streaming services have shows outside of the US being distributed online and with subtitles, because it really lets me interpret sort of how different cultures make their content, how it's different from sort of the mainstream. And I'm glad that they were able to put Romantic Killer on too, because it is probably one of my favorite shows. It is literally my top 5. It is a story of sort of this girl who just plays video games, eats chocolate, and loves hanging out with her cat. And it has sort of the same premise as one of my favorite shows of all time, which is Only the World God Only Knows, where it's sort of like they're a big gamer. They play a lot of otome/romance games and are really good at it, but in reality they're not really good at romance. So this magical being comes in and tells them, hey, that's not really what I want for you. I want you to sort of improve your personal life so you can grow as a person and you can also help people. And the premise is amazing, just because I just love characters who are kind of unconventional and sort of stand out and very, very unique from their counterparts. I love the female protagonist here. She's such a great foil for a lot of the characters in the show. What else do I have to say about this show? Oh yeah, so there are 3 main characters, or supporting characters, not main characters, supporting characters, who are her love interests. But they're really more than that, which I really appreciate as well. They're not just there to sort of date her. They have their own things going on. They have their own aspirations and their own things going on. And by the end of the show, they haven't picked a winner because the manga is still going on. And I really want a season 2. I really want to see more of these characters, and I have one love interest in particular I'm really shipping with her, just because I think they have a really good bond. So I highly recommend this show. It's literally my top 5, so definitely check that out if you have the chance. Eminence of Shadow. The cream of the crop, if you will. Now, Eminence of Shadow is a guilty pleasure of mine. I wasn't expecting much too from the show, because the way it looked very generic, and let me say, just off the bat, it has one of the worst first episodes I have seen in a while, because it literally goes from some show that you'd think would be a 6 out of 10, you get to episode 2 and it takes off. It becomes like literally an 8 out of 10, literally a number like top 4 in my list. So I think you should definitely check out this show. It has a lot to offer. The humor is on point. The action is on point. The characters, I just love them. And it's edgy, the main character is like Kirito, I guess this is the best way to describe it. If he was like edgy, but he played into like that factor. Like he's like, I am Shadow. And he's like pretends to be have this dark aura around him. But he plays that. It's almost like a character he puts on, so it's almost satirical in a sense. And SAO, as much as I am a big fan of SAO, they are edgy they're not purposely edgy, they're just edgy because, what's the word for it? I guess they try to be cool and they become edgy. This show becomes edgy, and because they're playing into being sort of this caricature, sorry, it makes it funny and actually makes it really cool, which is weird to think about when you look at the dynamics of the show. Also, yeah, that's it. Witch from Mercury. Okay, I wasn't expecting anything from the show, yet it ended up in my top 3, which I don't know how it did. It just somehow ended up there. So I actually got this show recommended from a friend because he was telling me how great it was. He liked the production, he liked the story, and he liked how there's some representation here. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna see what's going on here. And I was pleasantly surprised. It is probably one of the best shows I have seen this season. It's Gundam, which is something you should know going into it, but the way they do it, I feel like this is how you do sort of spin-offs / new iterations of long-running shows. Is a show like this where you introduce these new concepts, this new setting, this new world to kind of wrap yourself in, that's away from sort of the traditional standard format. And without delving into spoilers, because I really want you to watch the show blindly, I think the main character really sells this show, but I think what sells this show even more is sort of the dynamic she has and the impact she has on sort of the main characters. And or not the main characters and the supporting characters. So if you have a chance, definitely check this out. I highly, highly, highly recommend this show. It is the literally top 3 of this season. Mob Psycho 100, Season 3. Let's go! Mob's back, and they finished it. They finished the story. Finally! Let's go! But after all these years, people were wondering if we're gonna get a Season 3, because Season 1 and 2 were bangers. They covered most of the manga, and people were wondering if they were gonna make a season 3 because that would conclude the story. And they did. They finished it, and let me say, they landed the ending. Not many shows are good. Very few of those shows that are good land their endings. This is one of the shows that did. And the reason why I gave this a 9 out of 10 and is literally the second best show this season is just because they completed the Mob, which is the main character, Mob's character arc. They tied up all the loose ends, and it really ends with this, although it's anticlimactic, it completes the story, and it really has this emotional arc for the characters that kind of finishes where all the characters end up better people and in much happier places, and although the story will never be the same with how it ends, the characters overall, and like the animation, which is what's well known for, go above and beyond. And so I cannot stop praising the show enough. If you have not seen Mob Psycho, please watch it. If you have not watched Mob Psycho Season 3, yet you've seen the first 2, please check it out. Because it ends in a way where I haven't really come to appreciate shows that much in terms of like the way it ends, because I feel conflicted. Because it either feels very too satisfying, where it just ends and it's like, oh, they got exactly what everyone wanted and everyone's happy. Or it's more depressing and you're just like, oh, you just wanted to kind of end that way. But this one has like a cool in between where the ending's very sad because the show's over, but it's very satisfying. It leaves you satisfied, but it leaves you with a message, and you kind of take that message going forward. And I really, really love the show for that reason. Uncle from Another World. This is the best show this season, and for good reason too. This is literally a reverse isekai and an isekai all at once. This literally is 80s anime and like contemporary anime in one. And what's so great about this show, and I think its defining trait, is the humor. Now, let me just say this. The main character, the uncle in this show, is voiced by none other than Dio. Couple that with great writing, great animation, a funny story, and sort of, I think, some of the best moments I've seen in anime in a while that don't feel tropey, but feel unique and interesting. And what I really appreciate that this show in particular is just the fact that it will take the absurd and make it boring, but then make something so boring and mundane and turn it into something very interesting. And they do it constantly, and I think it's the funniest thing. Overall, I think if you like Psyche K, which is kind of the show that a lot of people are like, that sense of humor where it's clever humor, it's funny humor, or if you watch shows like High School, Life of High School Boys, or Asobi, I'm blanking on it right now, I'll post it, but If you like the kind of humor, this show is definitely going to be for you. If you are a big fan of just anime in general, please check out this show. I will say though, it really helps though if you do take a deep step into the isekai genre, just so you can kind of laugh more at some of the more I guess more of the like inside jokes that isekai fans share. So if you want a really good isekai to get into, there's Konosuba, ReZero, Overlord, Cautious Hero. But yeah, I would just at least watch one of those or a couple of those and then watch the show, because you will definitely appreciate this a lot more. I think isekai is long from dead, because we've literally in the number 1 spot and the number 4 spot, which is Uncle from Another World and Eminence of Shadow. They're both isekais, and they're literally my top 5. And I think the isekai genre, as people are thinking it's oversaturated and it's dying out, which it is. Like, most of the shows now are getting bland, but there are still a lot of great isekai shows coming out. And I think one of the saving graces for, I think, the isekai genre at large is going to be humor. Humor is going to save them in the end. If you want to see more long-form content, please let me know in the comments below. And I have a Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to stay updated on some of the fun things I do and some tweets I post, please follow those. They're at Sayorius. Same with my YouTube channel. My name is Sayorius, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.